This is the magic of a fearless risk. No fear, no brakes, just sky and soul. Every mile we're breaking.
She starts, except we're not sure about the oil light, so not too keen to keep running her.
Yeah, I just need to earth the wire out to see if it's the switch that's playing up or if it's the wiring.
Plus a bit of other shit. Then maybe he'll be able to take her for a ride. Alright, I'm gonna go play some video games.
Video games.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
I'm playing the game of life, baby. Started
instantly.
She wants to go, guys.
I
She
wanna
wants to move out.
build. I'm actually in the process of hunting cannibals, so it's very important work. I need to collect some aloe vera so I can make a healing mix.
Can you get a torch? Can you shine down there?
Yep.
Cool like that. I run it upside down, then I can just cable tie these up here like this. So I can just run my long ones. Everything that looks cool. It looks way better upside down because before this was all sticking up in the air. Now it's hanging. These are going to be cable tied. This is bolting to that bracket that I made. That is now bolted to this bracket instead of being on the other side, and the coil was now bolted to this bracket too, and that's what this rubber is I'm making. The rubber's going to go in there to insulate it between so it's sort of a bit rubber mounted. And then I can just run my long cords that I've already got without buying other ones and just cable tie them where these holes already are.
Nice.
So it's going to look quite cool upside down, I reckon.
Okie dokie. Beep.
Fuck, I'm happy about that. That started instantly, eh? As if there was nothing ever wrong with it.
Woohoo!
Fucking hell. I'll just check that the oil light's coming on because I didn't watch. I was supposed to check that and I forgot. Hey, it sounds good.
It did.
No rattles, nothing. It's on 57,800 exactly to the fucking kilometre. No, it's not showing the oil light. I wonder where that plugs in. I just want to make sure that it's actually got fucking oil pressure, that's all. Just disconnect it and see if it now throws an oil light. Nope. This bike has had an issue where it always gets a flat battery because it's got a security system in it. The problem actually was the fact that it's had two cheap shitty batteries put in it. I've now put a decent motorbike in it, which have a better warranty, better cranking amps than a Harley battery, and a better warranty than a Harley battery, and they are cheaper. But to stop this continuously happening if I don't ride it enough, I bought a Deltran. I don't know if it says it on there. It's a Deltran battery monitor. So it wires onto the battery. It's got the pretty usual Deltran plug on it, which most people will already have on a lot of their bikes for plugging into a trickle charger. So I can now plug this into here. It'll give me a readout on it. I'll show you. It'll give me a readout here. Sorry, it's around the wrong way. Gives me a readout here of the battery's at over 75%. It's currently running 13.2 volts. That doesn't always give you a display unless you press the button, but it'll tell you if the battery's getting down, 50%, 25%, and then if After a certain amount of time, this will disappear and go blank, and then you just press the button and it'll bring it back up. So at the moment it's sitting at 13.2 volts, so we know that it's a good battery. You don't have to leave this, see it just went blank. You don't have to leave this on the bike, but you can plug this in to check it, or you can put it up in here somewhere so you can keep an eye on it. I've also got an Oxford battery tender, which comes with a different plug on the end of it, but I love keeping shit, so this is off another Deltron system that I was throwing out because it was broken, so I kept the plug off the end of it, and I am going to solder and heat shrink that onto there, so then I can plug this into my bike and charge it, and that can be on triple charger when I'm not using it if I need it to, or I can just charge it back up again. Plus I've already got another one of these plugs on my other bike, so all this stuff is interchangeable between the two bikes. And I've also got another end similar to this, and it's got a USB in it, so I can plug my phone charger in and charge my phone. So Deltron, D-E-L-T-R-A-N, is, if you look them up on Trade Me, they're not very expensive. Buy that system, chuck them on all your bikes if you're having problems with not riding enough and they're not starting. And yeah, hopefully I'll ride enough and it won't be a problem, but it's always annoying when you come out to the shed and go to start your bike to go for a ride and it doesn't start. So that's just me eliminating that crap. I'm trying a new mic, so hopefully you guys will get some better quality from us. Okay, I'm just about to do the engine mount, but I have just been doing the forks. I wanted to show you guys what I've kind of done. So as you can see, that's how the forks were looking. And this is what I've just done to this one. It's probably taken me about 10-15 minutes, and I've just been doing it by hand. I did try a drill mounted piece that I got off my mate, but I don't know, seemed to be quicker to do it by hand in the end, because you kind of need to be sanding straight up and down and polishing straight up and down, because as soon as you polish sideways, or with the drill for instance, when I would get it off track, it would leave those marks in it. So what I did is I started with 400 P400 wet and dry, and what I did is I just sprayed some CRC on it. So by spraying some CRC on it, what it's doing is acting like wet and dry. Normally you would use water, but I use CRC because then I'm not breathing it in, for one, because as soon as I started sanding it, it was pretty dusty, and I was like, I'm sitting here not wanting to breathe that shit in. So this is wet and dry sandpaper. I just had some lying around. You could start off with finer, you could go 600 or 1200, but what I find is if you go on something coarse like a 400 first, then you can step back down to a 600 or a 1200 later to then get rid of the scratch marks. So at the moment, I started off with 400, that was fine. Did it all, but you could see scratch marks in it. I'll do a little bit here and show you. See how, if you look at it in the light, it's actually got scratch marks in it. So with a 400, what you can do is just get rid of all the bulk stuff off, all that corrosion. Look at it, it's all fluffy. Get rid of all that with the 400, with the CRC on it. You can get it later at a later date. Everything looks uniform and it's all the same way. If you start sanding round and round that way, you'll have scratches all the way around and round that way. So anyway, after that, this looked better than this when I first pulled it out of the packet. But 00 wire wool and aluminium polish. This is pretty much the same as Autosol, which Autosol's used for polishing a lot of things, chrome and stuff. This is for the aluminium one. You could still use this. I've used this in the past and it's been fine. I just happen to have some aluminium ones, so that's the only reason I'm using it. And then you just put some of the tube on this and up and down, work the whole thing. And because this is such a fine abrasive, it comes out with a nice finish like this. So this is the finish I want. Yeah, if you wanted to get a cloth, you could probably polish this higher so it was more reflective, but I like the aluminium matte finish look, which is what you're going to get with this. and it leaves a coating on it too. Like you can tell, like if you put water on or anything, it just beads off. Like it leaves a coating on it that I would say will stop the corrosion for a decent amount of time, and at least you can wash it, keep it clean. And it takes out all those scratch marks that you'll get from the 400. Yeah, you could probably go to a 6 or a 1200 instead, but this is what I already had, and I didn't have any 6 or 1200. So I've just hand buffed that, and look at that. That's, to me, that looks awesome compared to that one. And it only took about 10-15 minutes. So I'll do that one as well, and that'll be the forks done. And then obviously all this stuff needs doing too, but I'm slowly working my way up the bike. I'll be putting the wheel back on soon. And at some point, I've got it running now, so at some point I want to take for a rip just to make sure that she's going sweet before I give it an oil change. I just bought all the oil from Shaw Motorcycles and Whangarei yesterday, so I'm going to do primary and engine oil and filter, and I've got a new air cleaner coming. The spark plugs are new. Pays to check your spark plug, guys. I just checked them before I went to Shaw's because I was like, well, maybe I might need some. I checked them, and whoever had put new spark plugs in hadn't even done them up tight. The washer wasn't even compressed. They were only pretty much in there hand tight. And then when I took them out and looked at them, they were obviously new. When I took them out and looked at them, the electrode that screws on the top for the spark plug lead to go on, that was loose and nearly falling off too. So that wouldn't have been helping anything really with the way it was running. Probably losing compression and not sparking properly because you've got all these loose connections, going all the way down into that system. So it just doesn't help to not have been put in properly. Getting there on the bike's taking a little while, but half the fun is in building the bike, and then the other half is in riding it. So I'm enjoying building it, and I've got all new bolts for all the engine mounts and stuff. Steelmasters Whangarei. There was a couple of bolts missing, so I've decided to replace a few of the bolts so that they're all matching, because it looks stupid with bolts missing and different bolts here and there. So just being a bit fussy there, but I want it strong. And eventually I'm going to make a front, I'm going to bolt into here and maybe into these two bolts on the side, and I'm going to make a highway peg up here probably somewhere with proper pegs in so they flick out of the way, so that when I'm riding and I'm out on the open road, if I want to, I can either have these pegs folded out of the way, or I can fold them out and have my feet up there for highway pegs, so I've got mids and forwards pretty much. I want the mids so that I can blast through the forest without it scraping, and then I want the highway peg so when I'm on the open road I can stretch my legs. I'm not that tall, I'm only 5'11", but it'll help. Everything helps, and I like building shit like that, so that will be one of my things on the list to do at some point soon. Okay guys, so on the bike I've got a thread that's a bit stripped. I don't have any taps at the moment. That's on my list of things to buy eventually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the grinder and cut a groove in this old bolt. It's not the bolt I'll be using. This is just going to be a spare bolt. So it's the same thread. I'll cut a groove in it with the grinder, maybe 2 grooves. Then that will work as a tap pretty much to recut the thread so that I can then put the new bolt in. So just something that you can do if you don't have a tap and die set. So safety first, so cover your eyes. So it should look like that. See how it kind of looks like a tap? So what it does is all those teeth there become sharp, so when it goes in, it cuts a new thread. And yeah, it won't always work if it's a really bad hole, but if it's a hole that just has a little burr in it, or it'll work, because I've done it multiple times. So you can see I've put 2 grooves in it with this grinder. And then take your time when you're sticking it in the hole and trying to straighten it up, because you might cut it crooked. So this is the hole. I've already put some CRC in there. I'm just going to gently try and line it up. Try and line it up so I can get it in the right position, because it didn't want to start at all before. And try and work out where it wants to start. It doesn't feel right to me, like it's kind of feels starting, but it's a little bit dicky. And then work your way back and forward. Back forward, you feel it grip. Back it off, that lets it clear itself. Because it's kind of tight, and then when you back it off, it clears itself. And before, I couldn't get any bolt to start in this hole, but with grinding it like that, and working it back and forward, and what that groove does too, is anything that it cuts out, like dirt or a bit of steel, or that will end up in the groove. So when you pull the bolt back out, you can clean that groove out. That'll clean all the crap out of it. See, it's through now. One day I want a TIG welder, pipe bender, and I want to build bikes. So look at that.
You're making your dreams come
Look
true,
how
eh?
easy that is. Yeah, I'm already building bikes. I've been wanting to do this my whole life. So look how smooth that is now, because it cut itself a new thread. Well, the existing thread, it probably just fixed it. But be very careful when you're first starting to put it in, because if you get it crooked, you're going to end up cutting a whole new thread. Now if you have a look, you can see that. Can you see all the junk that came out and got cut into that groove? Now look at all the shit that's about to come out of there. You see it all?
Yep.
That's all metal. So look how well that cut. Look at it all. How well that cut a new thread. It didn't even wreck that bolt. Like that bolt, you could still use it for anything. You could still use that bolt in its position if that's what you wanted, but I got some new ones. This is an old one. But that bolt I can now use in future for any cutting of any threads that are that pitch and that size.
Oh, nice.
Cool, eh?
Very cool.
Polished against the black, against the white. I cleaned the white walls. Colour those in. Polished all the headlight and all the top part.
Yeah, you've polished. But those look nice
The
and
front's
shiny.
looking pretty mean. I just need to give the motor a scrub, but I won't do that just yet.
Nice. But it runs.
It runs, and what I've got to do is get it all back together so that I can actually take it for a ride, and then I can service it.
Bloody doggies. You want a lolly? I don't think so, butthole. Okay, so we've found 2 bolts on the ground, and we are unsure of the...
This shit. Don't tell them about the joys of motorcycle ownership. So it's always cool when you find 2 bolts on the ground. They're on this side, and then I can't remember where they went, because I've put most things back together and they are not standing out as being needed. I have just wire brush wheeled, wire brush and a drill, wire brushed all the spokes and wire brushed all the disc that was rusty, but as you can see, it's actually come up really nice. Once the brakes bed in, it'll be mint. I took all the discs off, took the sprocket off. Sprocket's there. I gave the sprocket a sand up. This was all corroded, so I'm just going to leave it like that. It's going to be kind of like a polished finish, I guess. I like it. I quite like that. It's kind of like steampunk. So I've cleaned all this up. I'm going to put all these back on. I've wire brush wheeled all the spokes, CRC'd everything, polished everything, so it won't rust as quickly. And yeah, I mean, all that stuff just came straight off, so it was like it was growing on top of the chrome, but still not perfect. But they're going to be a lot better than mucking around. No, Autosol, anything polish wise eats these gloves, but that's all right because neoprene gloves would have crapped out as well. And these are so much cheaper, so I'd rather just keep buying these. Anyway, so when I took these discs off, I don't know if you can see here, but I put a paint pen mark, ... so that at least when I put everything back together, it'll be exactly where it was. And the only reason I really do that is because there was no issues with the way it rode before. I have ridden this bike actually a long time ago, and it was fine. And I've done the same with the sprocket, so the sprocket will go back on at exactly the same spot as well. And that way too, if there is any balancing on this bike, which it doesn't look like this back wheel's been balanced at all, the front one has. The front one's got a wheel weight on one of the spokes. It just means that you've kind of put everything back how it was for when it was balanced by whoever balanced it last. And I don't think they normally balance the rear for some reason. I think it's because it's not going to shake through the handlebars. But I just do that as a matter of course. You don't have to do that. It's just something that I do. Pretty much, I don't have a star bit that will fit in a socket for a torque wrench, so I'm just going to do these by hand. After all these years, I kind of know roughly how tight it should be. And you always do it in a star position. Don't do them all on one side first because it could leave the disc not quite straight. So yeah, yeah, pretty much. And then I just go back round once I've done all that and just double check that doing up the one next to it didn't make it come loose. That's as tight as it needs to be. It's also Loctited as well. I was having a play before with the paint pen, as you can see. I reckon it looks quite cool. I like doing little things like that just to make it look different. Same on this one, I put a paint pen mark so that I know exactly where they go. This one, I won't be using blue Loctite, I'll be using red because this one is under quite a lot of force all the time. And when I pulled these bolts out, they had red Loctite on them, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to wire brush the bolts, put the red Loctite in, do them all up tight. That one I will torque because it's more pressure on it, and I do have, they are bolts. They are bolts, so I do have sockets, and I will clean these up before I put them back on, and I can torque those. So red Loctite for this side, blue Loctite's fine for the other side. And I will periodically, probably after the first ride, I will check all the bolts again, just because it's easy, cheap, easy maintenance to check bolts, but it's not cheap, easy maintenance if you fall off because your sprocket came loose or your discs. So anyway, that's what I've been doing today. I've still got a bit of work to go, but I'm getting there and it's looking pretty good.
No fear, no brakes, just sky and soul. Every mile we're breaking the mold. Ride on, dream or chase the spark. You are the flame that lights the dark.